Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for one of our final episodes of Good Teams Win, Great Teams cover of the season. We're here with our conference championship review. Super Bowl 60 is set. It's the New England Patriots against the Seattle Seahawks, and we're going to break down how it all happened on Championship Sunday. I'm, of course, as always, joined by my co-hosts, Joe and Byron. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Enjoy your conference championship Sunday, gents.
Enjoy the second game. We'll get to both games, obviously, but yeah, the second game was much more fun than the first one, I felt. I don't want to be controversial.
You know, intriguing and exciting in their own ways. Mm-hmm. Joe, how was your championship Sunday?
Yeah, it was fun. It's just, the season's more or less done now, or like just the Super Bowl to go. So it was sad that it felt like, the main Sundays, it's over. It's just a spectacle to go. But yeah, two close games. There wasn't a blowout, and and then we've got a rematch set for the Super Bowl, which you felt like no matter which option, it was more or less going to happen. I think except one, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think if we'd got Broncos, Rams, I don't think that's been one. I think all the other combinations were, but it's the Seahawks, it's the Patriots, it's a rematch of Super Bowl 4, and I guess we can talk about our early thoughts on that at the end. Before we wrap up. But as we've been doing through the playoffs, we'll talk about any hirings that have happened or any major ones. And there was a big one. Big Mike McCarthy back home to the Pittsburgh Steelers after taking a year off at the end of 5 years with the Dallas Cowboys. Super Bowl winner with the Green Bay Packers. 13 years. It was 13 years, 16 years. It was a long time in Green Bay. Anyway, Mike McCarthy back home to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reaction to McCarthy taking the Steelers job, replacing Mike Tomlin, has been underwhelming, to say the least. What are your thoughts on Yinzer Mike in at Pittsburgh?
Yinzer Mike, just a normal guy from Pittsburgh, as he's tried to push. I think it's very, very underwhelming hire for Pittsburgh. I've seen one description online. Annoyingly, I don't have the tweet or Blue Sky post up to credit the person. But getting rid of Mike Tomlin for consistently getting to the playoffs and nothing more, and then replacing with Mike Tomlin is like shitting your pants and changing your shirt, which I thought was beautiful. I just don't see what are you aiming for? Like, is the expectation Mike McCarthy is going to win you a Super Bowl in the next 5 years? I think this roster needs a lot of changes, and I just don't think Mike McCarthy's that guy. Whatever his qualities are, I just don't think he's a guy who's going to rebuild a franchise from the ground up. Sorry. So I just find it a bit of a confusing hire. He's currently older than the last three Steelers head coaches were when they retired. It just doesn't feel a very Steelersy fit, other than being Yinzer Mike, as we keep hearing. Yeah, I'm not inspired by it. I think he'll be fine, but I'm surprised that's what they're looking for. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're right, and he's going to be great. And he's going to win 15 games next year. I don't know, obviously, but I'm not inspired by it. I don't think it represents a new wave for Pittsburgh football.
I think that's the most confusing thing for me is that, when you think of the Steelers, you think, they're going to hire someone, he's going to be there for 10, 15 years, and he's going to have time, similar to like the Ravens one, but they went for that, the young, exciting coach where, he's probably not got as much time as you want because there's big expectations there, but he feels like he's going to be there for a while. It feels like this is just like a patchwork one where it's like maybe, 2 or 3 years. Is Mike McCarthy really going to be there in 10 years' time? Is that something what you can see happening? And this feels like, no offense to the Cowboys, but it feels like let's get in a head coach for like a win now kind of like experience and see where it goes the next 3 or 4 years. Don't give them a long contract and all that kind of stuff. While it feels like the Steelers, their makeup is let's get a young, exciting guy. Let's give him time. Let's hopefully get him a quarterback and let him build the team. It's like what does he give the team? I think that's just my worry. Like, was he in? Obviously, you guys being the Cowboys fan, do you hear before he was like in charge of the locker room and had all of that, which Mike Tomlin did at the Steelers? Do you think it brings that kind of aura with him to the Steelers? Or like, because obviously his offensive mindset is probably 10 years ago. Like that's when it was exciting and actually as a huge positive and a huge benefit.
Yeah, I do think. Sorry, Paul, you go ahead.
I was going to say no, because I think with someone that's so experienced, I don't think he did have the locker room until kind of towards the end. I think he just went through that period with Jerry Jones and co-undermining him, which all Dallas Cowboys head coaches have to go through. But I think he kind of pushed it on for a lot longer than most do. I also think a lot of the Cowboys had 2 or 3 top years of offense with him, and there's a combination of that. Some of that was Kellen Moore, and then he went, but McCarthy took control for the last couple of years, and the offense was really good. Wasn't really the problem, and that's where maybe as a leader, he should have been able to kind of solve some of those other problems or get the right people to. So, and I think he's going to be very steady Eddie, very competent. He's going to, I just can't see it doing anything more than Tomlin, and it feels like maybe the Steelers are overestimating what they have on their roster and thinking they can get somebody who's an experienced winner, as McCarthy is. His record's great, and he can, take them over the edge. And I think that's the bit where they're going. There's a disconnect between what they've got and what they've got and what they think they've got. Excellent. We will discuss others as they come. We've still got the Cleveland Browns job that nobody wants.
Even with a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Even with a Pro Bowl quarterback. We and Joe were just talking about that while we were waiting to start, yeah. And they're making candidates jump through quite the crazy process, writing essays, doing other stuff. It's quite bizarre. Yeah, it's worth checking out. It's quite what they're actually asking candidates to do is insane, which is why nobody's bothering. With it. We've still got the Bills. Yeah, we've got some interesting
Cardinals.
Slots to fill. Still got the Cardinals as well. So still got some slots to fill. But we had 2 slots to fill this week. Those are the Super Bowl berths, and they have been filled. Let's start with your favourite game of the week of the two band, clearly, the AFC Championship game. Let's start there. Patriots 10, Broncos 7. That was the full-time score. Drake dashes through the snow to down Denver. May's legs prove to be a difference maker as Patriots navigate blizzard, the best, and seal a return to the Super Bowl after 7 years away, which doesn't feel long enough. An odd game and a wild game for different reasons. The elements just completely took over in the second half. I don't think I've seen a game change to go from being being completely clear to when the weather came in, to it just being chaos in that short a span of time, which certainly I thought should have helped the Broncos kind of level it out a bit. But it was close all the way through. What did you make of it? Kind of the Patriots finding, again, a different way to win. I think that's another thing I can say. Because again, I don't think we found out much more about the Patriots this week, but they just find ways to win.
Yeah, that's kind of like a little of my criticism of the game at the start. There is I just don't really have much to say about it. It was interesting watching the elements be such an impact, and like you say, I can't think certainly of a big game like this where the elements have gone from oh, this is okay. You can see there's precipitation and stuff, but to oh my god, this is carnage. We're going to be lucky if they can get punts away in this weather. There's a play where Ramondre kind of fell over, then Drake May just kind of fell on the ball. It looked a little high school football-y because the conditions impacted it that much. There's only you can only prepare so much for bad weather, and if you lose your footing, you lose your footing. You can be the best player in the world, but you cannot control certain things. And I did think it kind of ruined the aspect of the football part of the game. It being tense, it being close was really exciting. Trying to make kicks in that weather also not advantageous. Exactly what you're saying. I just don't really think I gained any kind of knowledge on the Patriots from this one. I think Denver done well, as we kind of thought they would, to keep it close. Obviously covered the spread, as I think we all projected them to do. But yeah, I mean, Patriots not shaking the schedule merchants tag anytime soon.
Well, and they don't care, do they? And we've said this, that's not their fault
Absolutely
at all.
Not.
Beating who's in front of it at the minute. I think probably, again, I just thought they handled the situation better And I think that went down to a little bit Vrabel's control of the situation. You saw sort of how influential he was on the sideline. He'd sort of settled on the fact that the Broncos aren't going to score quite early in that second half, that they can't score on us. And the decision making was around, well, look, we're just going to, again, we talked it since Mike Vrabel was appointed back in January around what we expect to see from this football team. We aren't going to make critical mistakes. We aren't going to beat ourselves, and we'll take advantage when you make a mistake. Inevitably will, and that's exactly how this panned out.
It feels very Bill Belichick Patriots, but with, I don't want to make out Mike Vrabel's like a cuddly giant, but like with some warmth. You know, you see him hug his players, you see him stand there and greet them all back into the locker room at the end of the game. It is kind of like woke Bill Belichick. Like, it's all very detailed. It's very, we will not lose this game. Like, the other team, if they beat us, but we're not going to lose it. And yeah, exactly what we expected from Mike Vrabel, and very funny seeing what Tennessee is now, and after they fired this guy. I mean,
yeah, insane. And I think probably where I sort of saw it go as a little bit as the game sort of progressed as around, it looked like maybe the Broncos were going to get a little something from Jared Stidham to start with. He had a bit of a nervy start. He hit that one deep pass to the man Marvin Mims, and then it felt like, oh, they might get something going. Where the Patriots took over the game, I thought, was that front. You said that Broncos O-line will probably give them a sterner test than what Chargers and the Texans did. Well, I thought they stepped up again, the Patriots defensive line, and they were harassing, putting under pressure. I think they got 3 sacks, but under pressure, I think Stidham completed 1 pass. There was an interception and the fumble. And that was ultimately, the main difference in the game in terms of just being able to keep that pressure on and just have them completely ineffective. Joe, what did you make of kind of the Broncos' efforts to engineer offense with Stidham?
Yeah, it was certainly one of them like weird games where I had to check if I'm not falling asleep for an hour just because I'm sure it was sunny 2 seconds ago. It's just strange one because obviously the start of the game with the run pass, and it was like the most obvious play call they could do, and you're thinking, oh god, is it going to be one of them? You know, we've seen plenty of playoff games where a backup comes in, and then he has that huge touchdown play, and even the next few. Obviously, a huge crucial decision is that going for the 4th down when they could have kicked a field goal and it was 7-0 up. Looking back, it's like obviously they should have kicked it, but if they knew that weather was coming, that makes sense. And that I didn't mind it as much because it felt like they were on top, and if they got that touchdown, then that could be it. Because you know we can say about the Patriots, but the only touchdown they got was the Stidham fumble, where it was a terrible mistake. He should either just eat the sack or just throw it away quicker, and he just ended up like doing the push pass. And thankfully, the Patriots scored a couple of plays afterwards. It would have been worse, like with the referees. They should have been swallowing the whistles there to let it continue. But that was their huge mistake, and that's really the only time, especially that first half when the weather was actually good, the Patriots just couldn't do anything. So I understand going for the 7 points, but then you look back and you're like, oh, if you knew the possibility of weather could be that, and it was that kind of game, you've got to take the points because, like you mentioned, the Patriots just once they got their 3 points off that drive at the start of the 3rd quarter, the 9.5 minutes, 16 plays was huge, just to put the Broncos on the back foot, get that lead, and then just say over to you, Stidham, because yes, they put all that pressure on, but they also knew when that weather came, he's not going to be able to throw great, and we're just not going to let them run. So we'll just put as many bodies in there and say, okay, Stidham, you've got to beat us now in horrible wind. I think the 3rd quarter was the worst for Broncos, but even the other way, it wasn't like he was throwing dimes. And the wide receivers didn't help him a couple of times. But yeah, I think it was just clever that end where that drive just after halftime was massive, because then he was like, okay, over to you. What can you do? And you know, if they got out 10 points beforehand and not the fumble, obviously as ifs and buts, but it's just them little mistakes what the Patriots didn't do, because we went into that game with Drake May, you know, fumbling 5 or 6 times the last 2 games, and he didn't once this game with the weather and the pressure he was under all the time and the sacks he took. So I think that was the main thing from Drake May. He just mistake free, just take the points when you can. And like you said, it felt very Patriots-esque where, you know, for example, when they beat the Rams in the Super Bowl that time, where it just was like, make them make the mistakes, not us. So it was that kind of form.
Yeah, I think it's a big part. I mentioned it in the headline. Drake May's ability to rush and run was ultimately their biggest offense, I think, from a Patriots perspective. So you take the 3 kneel downs out, it was 7 for 68, I think, 7 for 69 yards outside of the 3 kneel downs, including the touchdown. 6 of the 7 went for a first down and the score. That's what ultimately kept them moving. That's what ultimately kept, got them to a magic number of 10. Which we knew. I guess we kind of figured it was going to be a low-scoring game, but maybe not quite as much. 12th Super Bowl berth for the Patriots, which is it doesn't feel like they've been away for long at all. 7 years. When we all saw the Chiefs missed out on the playoffs, we thought we might get some new faces, and then we're getting the old face of Pat the Patriot in again as well. Just what can you do? Some things are inevitable, and the D word's already been started to be thrown about as well. Let's not get carried away, but feels like the Patriots are going to be around for a long time again, certainly, with the makeup of this. Felt a bit sorry for Sean Payton at the end. He looked just completely devastated. I saw his interview after. He looked pretty devastated, and it's a shame because what might have been had Bo Nix not gone down injured last week. Do you feel they'd have got enough this week? Enough offense to potentially win this game? What the defense level the defense plays at. Feels like a missed opportunity because you're not guaranteed to get back here, as the Broncos know only too well. Excellent. Right, let's move on. AFC Patriots are our representative for Super Bowl 60. Let's head to the NFC, and it was the Seattle Seahawks that came out on top. 31-27. Seattle's stars shine bright to continue Sam's story. Darnold, I've spelled Darnold horrifically wrong. Darnold and JSN lead way. The Seahawks found a way to keep control after crazy third quarter. A mistake proves critical for the Rams as special teams kills hope. Jomi, obviously you are our NFC West expert, I guess. First of all, how was it sitting watching these two teams battle it out for the NFC Championship? Jesus Christ.
So, maybe one of the best games of the season. These are like they've been the 3 best games. Has there been a better trio of games between two teams?
Trilogy.
There might be. We'll talk about what's the best third game, and this could probably be the best one just in terms of quality both ends, in terms of where both quarterbacks were just more or less perfection. You can't really, Stafford still threw for 374 yards, Seattle for down to 346. And it was just such a good back and forth. There was plenty of times where the Seahawks took I think it was 11-point lead, and I thought, okay, this is over. And then Woolen decides to after stopping a 4th down, decides to mouth off at the Rams bench, which it's like at the beginning, I say, okay, that's not too bad. And then he goes again. The rest warns him. And then he goes again at someone else. And it's like, what are you doing at that point? And the fact that Stafford throws it straight at him. Straight away. So sad. It was like, chef's kiss. Like, you could be the ultimate villain. Because that could have obviously cost them the game there. And you've just got to give it up to Sam Darnold. There's plenty of times where the Rams came back and I thought, okay, is Darnold going to do what he's been doing? And is he going to give it away? Is it going to be an interception at this point? But he couldn't have played this game any better. It's probably the best game he's ever played, and what a time to do it. And another punted the drive before, and the Rams went down and they went 84 yards and didn't quite make it where the defense finally stepped up. But such a great game. I think, like we said coming into it a few weeks ago, I would have said the Rams. But yeah, I think me and Byron took the Seahawks. I just felt that. It was their time to shine, and the defense didn't play amazingly. I think the Rams have thrown the most by any other team. When you look at this 49ers, Patriot 2 games against them, and then you look what the Rams have done. It's night and day. So you got to give it up to them. Puka was ridiculously good. Stafford, and it was always and that defense probably didn't step up as much as they wanted. But yeah, give it to Seahawks. JSN, I thought how Tom Brady described how he gets open was so interesting in terms of how his shoulders don't move when he's doing his cuts and how he gets open. So again, a tick to Tom Brady this year. That's also a shout out because he's been a lot better than Tony Romo from the first game anyway.
It was, very much playing to see a specialist week. The games just directly following each other. But Reek Woolen, the most relieved man in the Pacific Northwest, I think, after the Seahawks closed it out for sure. That was all felt like it could have been the Vontae's best moment for the Bengals, where obviously, extracurricular penalties cost them a playoff game. And it really did, because it just felt like the momentum just swung in a moment in terms of the Seahawks were getting the ball back potentially to go for, and score to go 3 scores up. And all of a sudden the Rams were right there. I think the game played to an insanely high level. And it's a shame, part of it is a shame actually that, 31-27, ultimately deciding factor was Xavier Smith muffing a punt after he nearly did so earlier in the game. And obviously they did take the decision to take him out and put Kyron Williams back there. Obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. Should they have done that earlier after he had one go at trying to give one away? And the obvious answer is he should. But I just thought this was such a game played at such a high level. I think, I mentioned it in the preview. They've not put it on Darnold. They're trying to avoid putting it on Darnold and having the run game and the defense take over. The run game didn't work out as well. I know Kenneth Walker had some incredible plays, maybe more in the passing game than the running game in particular, but they didn't have the 1-2 punch. They definitely did miss Charbonnet, and it had to be on Darnold, and he was under pressure a lot. He made smart decisions. Any broken plays, he made sure they weren't worse than they already were, throwing it away or eating sacks. But I think he had maybe one bad throw where he looped one to Rashid Shaheed on the sideline. But it felt like that first one to Rashid Shaheed early doors in the first quarter got him going, gave him that kind of boost of confidence, and he didn't look back from there. I thought he was absolutely incredible. And we don't need to know now, can Sam Darnold do it in a big game? Because he absolutely delivered.
Absolutely. I thought it was a real good contrast just talking to Sam Darnold of it all. Sorry, Joe. But the week prior, he was 12 for 17, 124 yards and a touchdown, and they absolutely destroyed the San Francisco 49ers. This week, Seahawks ran for 75 yards. Defense gave up 27 points. Everything they did today, they needed from Sam Darnold. Like the week before, you could have put Drew Lock in the entire game and they would have won. Again, not trying to stomp on the Niners. It's just the way the game was. Like they're so injured that they couldn't compete. I love the kind of multi-dimensional aspect of the Seahawks here. The defense wasn't dominant yesterday. The running game, like you say, kind of Walk had some nice runs, but as a whole, the running game wasn't there. And yet, Sam Darnold, not trying to be too emotional about it, but this is why we watch sports. Sam Darnold, I read a thing on Yahoo Football earlier. I'm not sure it was credited to actually. In his first 6 years in his league, he had the worst passer rating in the league over that span. No quarterback has ever started the Super Bowl after doing that. Joe's just going to have to hop off. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, we were late starting. That's my fault. But I wanted to talk about Sam Darnold a little more. His first 5 years in the league, I'm ignoring San Fran because that was kind of where the redemption started. These are his coaches and offensive coordinators from his first 5 years in the league. Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, Matt Rule, Steve Wilkes. Todd Bowles is the only one who has a job, and I think he's lucky to have it. His offensive coordinators. Tell me of these, which ones you know. Jeremy Bates, do you know that guy?
No. Is he not the kicker for the Lions, or is that... No.
No, he was Seahawks OC in 2010 and the Jets OC in 2018, and he hasn't had a job in the NFL since. Following that, you had... Do you remember Dowell Loggins?
No. I feel like I should.
You don't remember Dowell Loggins, who looks like an AI of a car insurance salesman? He was Titans OC in 2013, the Jets OC in 2019 and 20. Never heard of him, never worked in the league since. Joe Brady. We all know Joe Brady. It was his first job in the NFL, got fired as the OC in his first year. So I dare say, in his second year, I dare say he hadn't found his footing yet. If the Panthers were firing him in Darnold's first year with him, taken over from him was, Jeff Nixon, right? We all know Jeff Nixon.
We all know Jeff.
Yeah, his heritage in the league, which was, he took over from Joe Brady in the 2021 season. Hasn't coached before or since in the NFL. Following on from that, you had Ben McAdoo. You remember Ben McAdoo, right?
Ben
Legendary
McAdoo,
head coach. Yeah, that was his last job in the NFL. And then he went to San Francisco. And then he had Kyle Shanahan. Then he had Kevin O'Connell. Now he's got Clint Kubiak and Mike McDonald. And Darnold looks like a top 10 quarterback in the league. I was absolutely delighted for him that people who've talked shit about him since he went to Minnesota has been a system merchant and been unable to elevate teams by himself. And JJ McCarthy's going to take the Vikings to a Super Bowl or the playoffs because, hey, if you can get 14 wins out of Sam Darnold, then you can do it with anybody.
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense. Let's just be very clear on that. Yes, he has benefited from good coordinators. Yes, his career was ruined potentially by that cast of characters I just read out. And that is all of them. I didn't miss anybody out. I didn't miss these good ones out who were secretly great Hall of Fame OCs, and I just chose not to mention them. That is the list. Joe Brady is the only one who currently has a job and should have it. Todd Bowles shouldn't have a job, but does. I did do a little bit of digging as well. Sorry. I'm going a little longer now. Joe's time's run out already.
You can go for it.
In adjusted yards per pass attempt, his years in the league with those coaches was 5.96. Since he went to Minnesota, I didn't include San Francisco because, again, he wasn't a starter, 8.22. 8.22 would put him second all-time behind Lamar Jackson. Like, that's the list. Aaron Rodgers is at 815 in currently in second. Patrick Mahomes is in third at 801. To go to 596, you are level with... You are one ahead of Scott Mitchell. We all remember Scott Mitchell, right? That 91 to 2001 spell with 4 different teams. I have no idea who Scott Mitchell is. Miami, Detroit, Baltimore, Cincinnati. No idea who you are, Scott Mitchell. No offense. His passing touchdown rate went from 3.5% to 5.9%. 5.9 would tie him with, George Blanda, who is an old quarterback, but essentially it would put him 15th all time. Ahead of Russell Wilson, ahead of Patrick Mahomes, ahead of Joe Burrow. And what is 3.5% going to get you? Well, it's a lot of scrolling, let me tell you. That's what it is. It puts you level with Jason Campbell. Not the worst quarterback in the league, but, that's kind of the level. You're at Sam Bradford, Case Keenum. Huge respect to Sam Darnold and kind of a mea culpa. I was as guilty for it as anyone, even after his year in Minnesota. I really think this is like, you don't get this in any other walk of life. Like, actors can come back and everyone's like, oh, they're great. It's like, yeah, you don't quite know, you're an actor, whatever. Musicians can release a good album after 20 years away and it's like, okay, whatever. This is on field. This is, man versus man. You are battling directly opponents and Sam Darnold sees ghosts, etc., etc., etc. Sam Darnold was fucking nails yesterday. In the biggest spot of his career, there was a couple of sacks went on him. There was the one, I think it was Cam Curl who broke through the line. And Sam Darnold probably should have had a hot read there that he didn't utilize. And he didn't falter. He didn't fall short. He didn't come away from the moment. And I just thought it was really special. I think that's one of the endearing things of why we watch sports is like, these comeback stories don't happen in real life. This is just I'm absolutely delighted for him. I just thought it was brilliant. And yeah, biggest spot, biggest moment. And he outslings one of the MVP candidates, maybe the MVP. Just brilliant.
I don't think there'll be many games Matthew Stafford's played that well and lost.
No.
Matthew Stafford was brilliant yesterday. And yeah, Darnold, more than stuck with him and went beyond him, arguably. Yeah, I was really, really impressed. I was very much one of the doubters still going, I've not seen him do it in this spot. And, and the plan was not to put it on him. And he's doing it hurt if he gets injured as well. He's got that oblique injury, which is brutal for a quarterback, like, the rotation in the throat, and he's doing it with that. And with on the sideline and stuff. I probably saw this tweet because it all comes back to, you mentioned some of the things battled through mono or glandular fever, I guess, as we'd call it, ruined some of his time. The seeing ghosts, which he's got the opportunity to, maybe get that, redeem that against the Patriots in a couple of weeks' time. Because it was the Patriots where you put him in that blender back then. But this is from Tony Vegas at Tony Pavements, which I think is just like a bit of a mocking New York Jets Twitter account. But if Sam Darnold prevents the Patriots from winning a Super Bowl, I'd argue he was worth the number 3 pick in 2018 for the Jets, which I thought was
absolutely
fantastic.
Yeah. They gave him a hard ground in school, and he's come through it. Yeah.
Yeah, if he can prevent the Patriots going again, then it was all worth it for the New York Jets. But yeah, outstanding. A couple of bits as well. I think probably personally, not for us, to see DeMarcus Lawrence. He had a big play in the game as well. He's been fantastic. He's had a great year for the Seahawks. When obviously it didn't particularly end well with the Dallas Cowboys, but and there was some shots fired back and forth between him and Parsons, who didn't end up being on the bloody team anyway. But yeah, I was really happy for him. And also the British connection, Aidan Durdy, the Seahawks defensive coordinator, first British coordinator to make a Super Bowl. I still think he's got a shot. He could end up with one of these head coaching gigs as well, and we could have a first British NFL head coach. But he's gone through it. He came through the Cowboys as well, and then has gone over and worked with Mike McDonald there in the Seahawks. And while doesn't call the plays on the defense, like obviously most coordinators do, still having a huge influence, and ultimately he's the defensive coordinator for that team. So shouting Dirty, and hopefully he can go win a ring, and it'd be great to see Aiden complete that journey and get himself a championship ring and possibly a head coaching gig in a few weeks' time, which would be awesome to see. But I thought that's fantastic. McVay was furious at the end. He sort of felt like they were right there. He really seems to feel that was an opportunity missed for the Rams, and the team is that good. Yeah, the team is that good. It certainly does feel like an opportunity missed, and we know Stafford will be back. I don't think he's done yet. I don't know. Do you think he might be? Or
no, I certainly hope so. I don't have a strong feeling on it. I don't think he'll want to go out like this. No. And he's been fully healthy all year. Well, he hasn't missed any time. I don't know how healthy he is, but he's played incredible. It's his closest shot at getting MVP. I really hope he comes back because I love this Rams team as well. I love this Seahawks team. How can you not? But I do love this Rams team. All preseason, like my favorite bet with Rams winning the division. Obviously didn't cash, but I just thought they're so talented. How can they not? But I think McVay has his own little questions to answer. The Cooper Kupp catch, which he called a timeout rather than throwing a challenge. It's like, Sean, you've got about 45 seconds left to throw a challenge this season, mate. This might be the time to use it because if you lose, you're gonna get charged a timeout. So why take a timeout? Just take the challenge. And then not going for 2 earlier in the game, making it a 3-point game, which led to it being a 4-point game down the stretch. They had to get in the end zone, which obviously changed the last. You're talking 10 seconds. It's unlikely they get into field goal range anyway, but it wouldn't have mattered if they had because they need to get in the end zone. So I think McVay had his own little issues. I did have one slight issue with Stafford because McVay and Stafford both talked about the Rams getting lucky on double covering Kyren Williams, and McVay kind of was like, "Hey, great play by the Seahawks." I think they must have fell into it. I don't think they meant to double cover him, but they did, and that's where we were going. Where Stafford, I felt, was more salty about it and not really gracious. I understand he's upset, but you've just got to hold your hand up and say the better team won. I don't think it's going to hurt you, but this isn't going to hurt him either, to be fair. It's just pay people like me who want to see more grace.
Yeah, I think he'll put this will be up on the wall. This clip motivating Matthew Stafford next season, I think. So yeah,
if it motivates to be more polite, I'll take it.
Excellent. Well, we'll see if you have that influence on Matt Stafford or not. But congrats to the likely MVP anyway on a fantastic season. And just commiserations on falling just short. I'll be nice with Matt Stafford. Let's go and just have a quick run around as far as our bets. We've not got too much, obviously, with it being a two game slate. Can I count this as hitting a 4-fold? I think I should, Byron.
Yeah, go for it. Why not, mate?
Excellent. Good. Joe would have said no. Glad he's gone, really. With the 2-4, it was one side, one total, and a prop. I had the under in Patriots Broncos, which was never in any danger of missing out on. And Puka Nacua got 2 grabs on that 20-second drive at the end to get over 7.5. And also cashed my Puka Nacua prop, which I got. So very lucky that it went to Nacua with those final passes of the game. Yeah, which helped that. Joe had, I'm pretty sure it was Marvin Mims over 1.5 rushing yards, wasn't it? That hit.
Yeah. I don't think he had a rush attempt, so.
He didn't know, and he had the over in Rams Seahawks. You had the Seahawks covering the 2.5, which they did, won by 4. And Terrence Ferguson over 40.5 receiving yards. Pretty sure he just had the one target, which was
in the
one of the ones in the end zone, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I suppose I don't know what we're doing for the Super Bowl, but you two are 4-4, so we do need some sort of tiebreaker. And I'm only a game behind, so I'm not out of it. So yeah, I'm not sure what we do. Is it just a big old prop off? Maybe, I don't know. For the team,
we'll just close to the time, I guess. Yeah. And then me and Joe just have to submit secretly to you like 50 tiebreakers just in case.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so we have a winner. And then from an ATS perspective, you guys both had Broncos and Seahawks. So Joe's a more respectable looking 4-8 for the playoffs. You're tied with me now, Byron, at 7-5. Having both, I had the Rams to cover. I had the Rams plus the 2.5, which was didn't hit. And we were all on the Broncos, so 7-5, 7-5, and 4-8 for Joe. So yeah, we'll see if we land on the same side for the Super Bowl or not. We'll talk about.
And we're gonna have to email Joe 50 tiebreakers.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm
gonna be busy.
Yeah, you are, but again, only 2 games, so tough to have lots of bets. But we still had a pretty productive conference championship round. I'd suggest some great winning bets we had, and I've got the sheet up somewhere in preparation for this because I'm always prepared as the host. So Joe had a 3-1 winner, Blake Corum, 50 total yards, rush or receiving yards, which hit in the NFC Championship game at 3-1. I had the Broncos plus 4.5, so we covered at 10-11. The over in the NFC Championship game, which hit comfortably through that wild third quarter when there was 4 drives and 4 scores back to back, which was great. That Puka Nacua prop, which was 8+ catches, 100+ receiving yards, and 30 and a touchdown at 33-10. So I think we had 5 winners, and you had a couple of long shots on top of your prop games, didn't you? You were looking for a receiving leader, Rashid Shaheed.
When that first catch went 51 yards, I was like, oh, here we go. We've had 20s, we've had 25s, we've had 10-1 throughout the playoffs. We're making legacies. Just hit Rashid Shaheed like 3 more times. I think he had 2 more targets, so it didn't quite hit. But for a brief moment, we had that excitement because I kind of explained in one of the Discords. I mean, like, kind of the play there is like, if it's not Puka or it's not JSN, it's anybody.
Yeah.
If you're getting 60-1 on a big play threat, because I don't think it's going to be a Broncos player, and I don't think it's going to be a Patriots player. If it's not Puka or JSN, but I mean, Puka and JSN both went 150-ish, so like it was Puka or JSN.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't them the last 2 weeks. You know, last week it was Marvin Mims with 90 yards, so it's like, Rashid Shaheed getting 100 yards isn't a 60-1 shot. That was basically the entire thesis of it. Didn't come in, but yeah, we had some excitement early in the game at least until JSN took over and then Puka took over as well. So
yeah, I think it was probably that last catch for Puka that took him to the 165 and the leader for the week. So yeah, but yeah, those two. I don't know how you split them. I think they're 1 and 2 now. I think they're 1 and 2. I know it's hard. There's so many other great wide receivers. Yeah. I think they're 1 and 2. They're so good.
Yeah, I mean, they're very different, but like, I'm not going to try and pick between them, but watching JSN move is just like it. You know, we talk about like liquid football for soccer, and like watching JSN run routes is like, this is a real treat. Puka, I think, is a little more rough around the edges. I think he's like what you call braver, but that might be because Matthew Stafford doesn't give a fuck and just throws the ball wherever. Because he knows his arm strength will get him there. Whereas Sam Darnold, I think, kind of relies on JSN's refined route running. It reminds me a little of Devontae Adams in his peak. Just like, he's so fucking smooth. That one on the sideline yesterday, caught it one-handed. It's like, this guy he's just different. He's so good.
It's like a gazelle. And also, just on that, you mentioned Devontae Adams there. And I feel bad for Devontae Adams. 0-5 in NFC Championship games. He lost 5.
And never made one in the AFC with the Raiders, surprisingly.
He didn't, or the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I that's brutal, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, I don't know how
What
much
if for no Super Bowl appearance? Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels like he's in the right spot to get. I feel like the Rams. I think probably Rams need to take care of that secondary. I think that's where they really need to focus in the offseason. Everything else is pretty set up. Maybe some reinforcements on the O-line as well, but they've kind of got everything else. So we'll see. Right, let's just talk about the big game a smidge because we've got a preview coming, but that's going to be in 10, 12 days' time. It's the Patriots Seahawks, as we've mentioned at length. Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is 46. What are your kind of initial thoughts on the game, on the matchup, on maybe just more on the numbers on the line?
Well, the line's already moved as well. It started at 3.5. So that's already come to Seattle. And I think it might go further to Seattle, truthfully. I think Seattle are huge favourites for this game. I think they match up really well with New England. And as kind of talked about earlier, they can win in any way. If they need to throw it, they will. If they need Sam Darnold to be the man, he will be. The defense is another level to New England, who have got a good defense. Their efficiency on passing and running is a lot clearer of New England's, a lot clearer of a lot of teams, truthfully. Drake May is going to have the game of his short career, and he's been great all season. He's going to have to attack deep down the field, which he's been very, very good at. But I think that's going to have to where you get it is maybe use that Seahawks aggressiveness against him. Maybe we see someone like Kyle Williams become like a surprise darling. Maybe it's Matt Collins who had a big game yesterday, relatively. Maybe it's Keyshawn Booty down the seams. I think if New England are going to compete, forget any kind of joke like the running game. I don't think is going to be where they win it. Ramondre's been really good in the playoffs, but I just don't think that's how you're going to attack the Seahawks. I think they're just going to body you up front. I think it's going to have to be deep shots. And Drake May's been, I think, more accurate than anybody, truthfully, on deep shots this season. But I think that's where you're going to have to get at Seattle. Hope for some over-aggressiveness in blitzing. Maybe Rick Woolen, who I think maybe lost himself some money yesterday, truthfully. Attack him downfield. I don't think there's an easy path to New England to win, but I think that's how I would address it if I was Josh McDaniels and the game planning the Patriots offense. For the Seahawks, I think they can. I do think they can kind of just roll with what they think is more comfortable, even if that changes in game. Because I think their O-line can stand up reasonably well. I was kind of disappointed, a little tangent here, but I thought Gray's Abel maybe deserved enough to get nominated for Offensive Rookie of the Year in such a I would say, kind of weak class. I think week by week he shows his quality more and more. And John Schneider got Executive of the Year, and I mean, fully deserved because that. I mean, obviously made some great free agency signings as it turns out, but that Gray's Abel draft pick has really set them for, is new Quentin Nelson kind of in my mind. Next 10 years are just set.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been phenomenal. Great rookie year, and it's interesting. Like, if that number goes and it starts going to 4, if it starts going to 5.5, 6.5, I think I'm going to take the points for the Patriots. I think they'll keep it close. I don't see a Vrabel team getting hammered. You know what I mean? Like, I think they will just find ways to keep it close. I think I'm expecting Seattle to win the game. If it starts getting to, like, say, 5 and 6, I'm going to take the Patriots and the points because, I just cannot see a way where Vrabel will let it get out of control. That defensive line is getting better and better, and I know it's taking on weak opposition in terms of the offensive line, but they had a really good game yesterday. And that Broncos O-line's pretty good. So, I'll expect it could have, the Seahawks O-line did struggle to handle the Rams defensive line yesterday. I think actually it was a lot of Darnold managing the situation really well. Not a great offensive line play by the Seahawks. So I think they can cause them problems and probably do something similar in bottling up the run game as well. And then can Darnold do it 2 weeks in a row? I think he can. Now, I've seen him do it once. He can do it again. But we'll see on the big stage. I think it'll be close, though. They're going to take on the Patriots. We talked about schedule merchants, but we mentioned in the preview, in the playoffs, they'd be the first team in total defense in the Texans, the second team in total defense, the Broncos, the 5th ranked team in total defense, the Chargers. They're going to be taking on the 6th ranked. Nobody's had to take on 3 of the top 5 in the playoffs. Nobody's taken on 4 of the top 6 before. So it is quite the gauntlet they're going to have to run. But I don't know, they just seem there's just something niggling in the back of me going, they might just find a way because that's what this team's done all year. They just find a way in different ways.
And it's what this franchise has done for 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Years, you know.
Yeah, so we'll see. But we've got a great one lined up in San Francisco or Santa Clara or wherever the hell Levi Stadium is, somewhere near San Francisco or San Jose.
And an important update: neither team is practicing near the electrical charge facility. That's true. Neither is doing it. So we should have a fully healthy Super Bowl.
Yeah, no major injuries in the lead up to the Super Bowl. Excellent. We'll be back with our Super Bowl preview. We're hoping to get 2 great sets of guests on, one representing each team and a potential 3rd guest as well. We're going to try and...
I'm waiting to hear back from Tom Brady, but I haven't heard back yet.
Fair.
Busy man.
He's a busy man. We'll just keep trying, but we're trying to pull out all the stops for the Super Bowl preview, one of our final shows of the season. So, yeah, stick with us. There is going to be some sort of episode next week. I'm hoping it's going to be the Mastermind edited version. I was hoping to get a lot of it done today because I've not been at work today, but I didn't get to it. So I'm hoping by Friday I will get that done and we will have that out. And I will be taking on the Taco Bell 24 Hours in Taco Bell Challenge. On Saturday, I think I've settled on because I feel like if I don't do it this week, I'm just going to delay it. So I'm going to get it done. And we'll possibly have some sort of live element to that while I'm there. Twitter thread and something else. And show
You're not taking your laptop to live stream the entire 40
I don't know if we can live stream the entire thing just because I don't know. Like, I think the power outlet situation at Taco Bell is an issue. I think, yeah. But maybe so we can jump on for a bit at some point. Yeah, I think we should just to try and keep me sane. I think. Because it's going to be a rough old Saturday.
Indeed, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can. Right, well, we'll be back then later this week with Mastermind Taco Bell Challenge before our Super Bowl preview show drops. Next week, I think we'll try and get it out earlier as well, so it'll drop on like the Wednesday or Thursday, not the Friday. So you got plenty of time to enjoy it before the big game. But we're down to one game, 2 teams, one Vince Lombardi trophy to play for. Is it going to be the Patriots? Is it going to be the Seahawks? We'll find out just short 2 weeks' time. Follow Good Teams Win Great Teams cover. Audio version available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Overcast. Video version available on YouTube. At GTW_GTC available. All our content, including our March to 300 winning bets. We're 200 and I think 91, I want to say now, on the March to 300. But yeah, big Instagram. Big one. Instagram, TikTok, X, Blue Sky at GTW_GTC, and we'll see you in the coming days.